I want to find out more. Now, we've all heard the studies about the dangers of being overweight, but now obese people are fighting back.
That's right. Today, a special conference begins in New Zealand to celebrate being overweight. Here with the details, we bring in health and fitness expert Amelia Burton and body image expert Danielle Miller. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Morning. First to you, Amelia. Activists at this conference are arguing that the obesity epidemic is more panic than fact, and they believe that people can be healthy at any size. Is that true?
It's not true that you can be healthy at any size, but certainly you can be overweight and still be healthy if you're exercising regularly, if you're eating really well. But once your body mass index, your BMI, goes over about 30, the number 30, then your risk of heart disease goes up by 70%. And no, it's not healthy even if you are exercising once you're in that obese category.
Danny, do you think overweight people are discriminated against?
They are. I mean, it's a fact. We really are a fat-phobic culture, and we become very almost paranoid in our discussion around size at times. In fact, at the moment in Western Australia, the government is funding a campaign which talks about fat as being toxic and shames people into wanting changing their bodies, and that's really problematic. Amelia's quite right. I mean, the conversation really needs to be about health, not about size, and we must also keep in mind that being thin and having a low BMI is not necessarily an indication of good health either.
So look, let's look at this. One of the conference speakers, Jackie White, says fat subjects are produced as irresponsible and therefore unworthy. What do you think of these comments?
They are, aren't they? I mean, we often hear, you know, it almost becomes a moral issue. We associate size with emotional qualities, things like slovenliness or greed, and that may not be the case necessarily at all. And I think it's really important that we provide balance to this, because we also know that if we are looking at encouraging healthy behaviours, you can't shame someone into wanting to change their particular body shape and adopt a healthy lifestyle.
And we know that, you know, if somebody is overweight, it does not mean that they're a lazy person.
No.
It can mean lots of different things. The machinations behind our obesity epidemic, it's not, a lot of people say, oh, it's just calories in and calories out, and that's what, you know, that's what people need to focus on. And of course, yes, there is an element of us taking control within ourselves, except there's so many other factors out there that I think it is wrong to actually just assume that because someone is overweight, it's because they're lazy, you know, or something like that.
For sure. Is the conference, though, sending a dangerous message, you know, which is that being overweight is okay?
Well, I think this is one of my major concerns with a conference like this, and Professor Swinburne put it really well when he said that basically we need to be very careful that what we're doing is not diminishing the dangers of obesity. We know that the #1 cause of death in Australia is heart disease, and we know the #1 cause of heart disease is obesity-related illnesses. So we can't deny the fact that there are some serious physiological issues with our obesity epidemic. And I think that a conference that promotes obesity, that promotes celebrating obesity, is something that we do need to be very concerned with.
But Danny, we also know that something like this can be very damaging psychologically if you're overweight. You can start to really beat yourself up, and this sort of fat-shaming thing is trying to be replaced at this movement with fat pride and acceptance.
And
so
I
that's
love
a little
the
bit
idea,
better, isn't it?
Absolutely. I love the idea of body acceptance regardless of our size, because I can tell you that I work with a lot of young girls who are incredibly thin with very low, dangerous BMIs, who still don't like their bodies and think they're large. So we really need to convince all people that we aren't just bodies, we're some bodies, and that our size is just one indication of our health. It's not the whole package. I wouldn't like to see being overweight encouraged as a lifestyle choice, but if the conference is really about accepting ourselves as we are and being okay with realising that our body's just one part of the equation, then I think that's probably a pretty good counterbalance to a culture at the moment that is absolutely paranoid about fat.
A current affair recently ran a story, I don't know if you guys saw it, where reporter Elise Elliott wore a prosthetic fat suit to see if she would be treated differently. She found that people's reactions were different. When she was thin, she got more male attention, and when she put on the suit, she got less attention. People were less willing to help her on the street. Do you think this is pretty common for overweight people?
I do actually. I think, and I did see that, and I thought it was a really, really interesting segment. I think that Danny's point about maintaining a healthy body image no matter what size you are is really, really important. But I think at the same time you can have a healthy body image but still aspire to be healthy and to eat well and to exercise. And I think that's the real, you know, key take-home message, that you can still love your body but want to treat it with respect and want to be healthy and want to eat eat and exercise.
And that's part of loving it, is taking care of it, not wanting to treat it like a sort of toxic dumping ground for bad food and bad choices. But we shouldn't associate size as being an indication of anything other than the fact that it is just simply size. And BMI indications are notoriously unreliable anyway. I mean, you can get elite athletes who will have a BMI that indicates that they're obese simply because of the fact that they're so dense.
Right.
So, you know, it's a really very tricky
measure.
And we don't hear that in all the rhetoric that's fed to us from the diet industry.
But we do know that, you know, our obesity epidemic at the moment, that there is a clear one, and I know that there was some talk in this conference about there being panic about obesity, and that, you know, and that the epidemic is being diminished. But we do know that it is a serious one, and it is seriously affecting the health of Australians and of the Western cultures.
And as are eating disorders.
Thank you, ladies, so much.
Ladies, yeah.